This time on Roadkill Garage, the Disgustang is back, and it's screaming for vengeance! Breaking the law! Breaking the law! Breaking the law!
You have no idea how excited I am for this episode.
How come?
Dude, you know how much time and brain energy I've put into figuring out the Disgustang, and I think we're finally gonna actually drive it at the end of this show.
I know, it's just been Freiburger mastermind all the way. This thing is really good.
It's also been Freiburger water-cooled credit card.
I know, I'm glad it's your money, not mine.
So last time you saw this thing, we put in the 410 cubic inch small block and we did an American Powertrain 5-speed swap. And this time it's gonna be all about the suspension. We're gonna put some gears in the back of it too. So it's gonna be everything to make it run and drive minus the niceties like actual wiring and an actual interior and stuff like that.
Well, that can come later. Let's just get this thing on the road.
What do you wanna do first?
Take the tires off?
You wanna do front suspension first?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
Wow, coming back at me.
I legitimately want to drive this thing like a new car. And so to do that, I've put together a suspension which is really my own concoction. Remember, what I'm looking for here is not ultimate handling. I am looking for daily drivability, so I want the thing quiet. I don't want to hear bushings squeak. I don't particularly need the thing to handle killer, but I need it to be good enough. And so what I did is I went to the Global West suspension page and sort of looked through their recommendations and then backed them down into my own sort of cheaper and softer riding version. Here's where it starts. I'm gonna put on some Scott Drake coil springs. This is a reproduction company. They make a bunch of stuff for Fords. This is a 1-inch drop spring. I'm using it in conjunction with a stock thin rubber upper spring seat. I wanted them in there for squeak proofing and for a softer ride. The other thing I'm gonna do is replace the strut rods in the thing because I'm concerned that they might be bent in the car right now. I am going to use rubber bushings at the front of the strut rod. However, these are Global West high durometer rubber bushings, and so they're a little firmer than what you would find stock, which I find important in these to prevent bump steer because the suspension is honestly really flimsy on these, as you can see by the look of the lower control arm, which is simple stamped metal just like this. Similarly, I got an upper spring seat, which just uses regular old rubber bushings. Now, the one place I deviated from that is in the upper control arm. This is a Global West suspension negative roll upper control arm. If you've seen in the prior episode when we've got the Mustang up in the air, you can see that the tires droop like this. And when they compress, they go like this. In other words, the camber curve on them is the opposite of what you really want. And that camber curve is corrected most of the way by using this Global West upper control arm and relocating the pickup points on it. Global West recommended that for the street, you don't need a rear sway bar, but they do like to use a 1 1/8 solid bar in the front. So I've got that. And then wrapping it all up, I'm gonna use Coney shocks on this one. Normally I go for the QA1 double adjustables, but I wanted to try these things out because I've never used the Coneys before. And I've never actually rebuilt one of these Ford front suspensions myself, and so we're gonna dig into it and find out what happens. Wow, it unthreaded.
That wasn't so bad.
Yeah, that was surprising. Okay, I'm gonna take the whole brake and spindle off. There we go. Lower control arm. There we go. Okay, that's it for that side. Just gotta drop the coil spring, which is still in compression right here. Then maybe I'll make dosage to the other side. It's not gonna fly. I'm gonna have to do the other side. All right, I got the whole front suspension torn out of this thing. It was super easy. The only thing I would say if you're doing it is you gotta have a coil spring compressor to get the upper spring out of it. That was really critical to doing this safely. So on the reassembly, the first thing that I'm gonna do is drill new holes to alter the upper control arm pivot point. We're gonna move it down about 1.25 inches using this template from Global West Suspension. By moving this pivot point down, it's gonna alter that camber curve into someplace where it's a lot happier. Perfection. Next up, I'm gonna put the upper coil spring seat in. Now in a factory application, this tang that holds the end of the coil spring goes in, but the Global West instructions advise that their arm wants it out for the way the spring sits in it. So we'll go ahead and believe them and whack that into place. Next, lower control arms. Wow, these cars are flimsy. There we go.
The lower strut rod reinforces the lower control arm, and what it does is it ties it into the frame with this bushing. As you can see, it's totally shot. Now removing it was a little tricky because this was the original bushing, and it's basically sandwiched in there and swedged on, so you can't just really pull it apart. What I had to do is go in there with a grinder, grind off the area where it's swedged in, and then comes right apart. You gonna impact them on, or?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's good. Now our lower control arms are triangulated by those strut rods with new bushings on them and everything. Next up, we're gonna put our spindle and stock brakes back on.
All right, the wheels for the Disgustang. Now, it might look like a junkyard steel wheel, but don't be fooled. These are custom built by Stockton Wheels, and they are exactly like the factory steel wheels. But the width, 15x7 for the front, and I've got 15x8s for the back. I noticed that the wheels are a little bit greasy, and before I get started with the paint process, I'm just gonna degrease them with brake clean. I don't wanna get any water or soap on them because they'll flash rust almost instantly. The first thing I'm gonna apply is gonna be an epoxy primer. I'm gonna cover the whole wheel inside and out with that, and then I'm gonna apply the color, which is gonna be a little unusual. It's a metallic copper, and that pays homage to the original prototype Mach 1 that was run in Bonneville by Mickey Thompson back in 1969. So you may like it, or you'll probably hate it. For the face side of the wheel, I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm not gonna use the epoxy, I'm gonna use this urethane. This can be a surfacer or a sealer, depending on how you mix it up. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's tintable. So I've got this toner, and I'm gonna add that to my catalyzed primer. So I'm not gonna be going over pure white. It's gonna be closer to the final color. And the advantage there is if you get a little chip or something like that in the top coat, it's not like you're gonna have a high contrast color underneath. Finally, the last step. Now you can see I've got an unusual peach-colored primer on here, and that's because I want it pretty close to what's in the gun. That's Aztec Gold, and the mix is unusual. It's actually base coat, to which I've added 10% urethane hardener. That'll make the paint stand up on its own, whereas base will normally get clear coated. I also added about 30% urethane reducer because that viscosity felt just about right for a suction feed gun. Okay, Freiberger, wheels all done.
Oh, what did you do? That is disgusting.
That was perfect.
I'm just kidding. No, I think a lot of people are gonna freak out at the color and go, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And not getting my whole vibe.
Well, you know, I think most people will think that the wheels are ugly, but I'm in love after painting them.
Aztec Gold. Nice paint job, Dolchek. Let those dry till tomorrow. We'll put tires on them.
Yeah, look great. Okay.
Okay, go. Stop.
Seems like I can go a whole bunch more.
Is it possible for you to also jack the jack?
Do I need to jack it up some more?
No, it's installed. We got the whole front suspension bolted together, and we put the car down on the ground and rolled it back and forth to try and get the front end to settle and everything. Unfortunately, the alignment is so bad that we couldn't get it to do that, but we did eyeball it enough to know that we think these coil springs are gonna be okay ride height-wise. They need to settle. I mean, I'd be happy if they settled an inch. I bet you they'd only settle half, but we're gonna leave them alone for now and not cut them. So, time to move on to sway bar and then shocks. Front suspension is as done as it's gonna get for right now. You can see I don't have the upper shock mounts on here. I've got an aftermarket export brace that it's gonna go on here last once I get the car set down on the ground, and that involves the upper shock mount. So I'm just gonna leave that right now and move on to the rear suspension. we go. All I'm gonna do on the rear suspension for today is my new Koni shocks. Fords are weird. The whole upper shock stud is a hole in the trunk floor right there, but we got it done. So the rear shocks are on, rear suspension's done. Now I think I'm gonna move on to changing the rear gears.
Yeah, like magic. Now look at this. This is just a light duty
28 spline junk
axle shaft.
Yeah.
That is gonna go away.
All right, jack up that snout. Let's puke some gear oil out of this thing.
What do you bet it's not gonna break loose?
No, it won't. Not breaking.
Oh,
yeah.
That is victory.
Nice. That is 50-year-old crude right there.
Yeah. Not very much of it either.
No, this is the old pumpkin coming out.
Oh yeah, now we're making progress.
Okay, now it's out.
It is?
Yep.
And I'm supporting it.
Here's the story with our center sections. We just removed a 3.0 gear set with 28 spline axles, the smallest, flimsiest axles they ever made for a Ford 9-inch. Now, my new center section is a 370 gear set with a limited slip, and I've got 35 spline axles, which is ridiculous overkill for what we're doing with the Disgustang. I found out the cheapest thing for me to do was to use this complete pig, but then have my buddies at Mosier make some custom axles to make it work. They were able to come up with a bearing that had a thin enough wall thickness that it could accommodate the big axle, but still slip in the end of the axle tube. This isn't something they actually recommend because this is kind of a weak bearing, but it's gonna be fine for what I'm doing here. And there's absolutely no chance I will ever break that. Whoa!
It's in. That's sounding pretty good.
Okay, Steve, I think the fun part's over.
Really? What do you mean? This is just getting good.
You were looking forward to making every brake hard line in the entire car?
You're gonna be a busy boy, Freiberger.
Oh no, I was thinking when you were doing that, I was gonna throw in the electric fuel pump. Get to work, Joel, check.
All right. We're working on a 1969 Mustang, and you can get OEM-style brake line kits with every line just as it's left the factory. But we're not gonna go that way. We're gonna make our own brake lines. The reason is, this car has custom parts like a line lock, a custom proportioning valve, so we're gonna have to have some changes, and at that point we figured it'll be easier and cheaper just to make our own system. Now, I got this bolt brake line at a local auto parts store, and we've got this pro-level flaring tool, so we can do a really nice quality job at a very low cost. It looks like Freiberger and Finnegan really cobbled together the throttle linkage when they first put this car together, and the travel on the gas pedal is a mile off. So I'm just gonna modify what they did, make it adjustable by slotting the mounting hole, and then I'll just kind of make it a little prettier without that hacksawed edge. And so, a little file work, and it'll be ready to go back in.
My next job is making a fuel system happen. The vintage air accessory drive on the engine makes it so I can't use a mechanical fuel pump, so I have to use an electrical, and I'm going old school. Remember the 70s? Yeah, that's when everybody used these little tiny Carter electric fuel pumps. And I got it because I really don't need a big killer fuel system in this thing, and I can destroy electric fuel pumps like nobody I've ever met. And so I'm trying to go with very low output, mild fuel pump, and maybe it will live. I made a bracket for it here, and then I'm gonna have to plumb it all the way up to the front. Oh, just destroyed that. Okay. Starting over. I made this hard line to pick up from the electric fuel pump and get past the exhaust, so I didn't have rubber right there, and up and over the frame. For now, I'm just gonna flare this end and run rubber up to the front of the car, but I got a nice start to hard line this thing front to rear.
When we attempted to put the brake drums on the new axle shafts, we ran into a little problem. The hole in the center of the drum has to fit the register on the axle shaft, which is this nub sticking out of the center. And it has to be perfectly concentric. You can't just go and hog this out because it will not align on the bolt studs that hold the wheel on. So I took this abrasive flap wheel, and it happens to be sized perfectly so it'll float and remain centered and allow me to hone it to the perfect size. Just a little action like so. Clean that rust and debris, and now it fits like it was made for it. Boom. That's home. It's definitely all the way in. And with that, the axle shaft has been installed. Hey, David, I think the X-brace has got to come out.
Okay, this is like a normal debacle for us. The X-brace underneath the car was installed, and then the guy put the mufflers in, and he sort of welded the mufflers in a way that captures the X-brace, so that there's no way to get the X-brace out of the car, which means there's no way to get the drive shaft in the car. So I'm gonna have to cut tabs off of the brace in order to get it out, and then re-engineer it later. Got it. Only had to cut one tab.
Okay, great. Got it.
Okay, now the drive shaft should slide in.
Coming down, Freiberger.
I'm going to install more chassis stiffening. This is going to be a Global West export bar, a strut that connects the shock towers to the firewall and pinches them all together nice and stiffly and great. Then we're going to also add a Monte Carlo bar across from here to there. The point of all of that is to triangulate and stiffen the shock towers into the firewall to keep this whole car from flexing. Looks raced, Dolchek. Monte Carlo bar, done. Next, hood. All right, this is a fiberglass hood with a 69 Cougar Eliminator scoop on it, kind of shorter than the Boss 429 scoop.
Something seems amiss.
Yeah, the Monte Carlo bar hits it as predicted.
How about we take the hood off and rotate that Monte Carlo bar? Maybe that's the way the Monte Carlo bar goes.
Maybe.
Actually, this is pretty good. I like it like that.
It's actually perfect, right? Well, Dulcich and I have a boring night ahead of us. We gotta put the hinges in, align the hood, butcher some wires into it, make the basics work, bleed the brakes, bleed the throwout bearing, throw some seats in it. Tomorrow morning it goes to alignment, and then, next time you see it, we'll be on the road. Dude, we're driving the Disgustang.
Yeah.
The stock rear leaf springs are in surprisingly good shape. Usually Mustangs are all droopy in the butt.
Not this one.
This thing sits like a truck. It's way too high.
I know. How's the shifter location for you?
It's okay. It's too close to me by a little bit, but not bad. Does not feel fast at all. How come? I don't know. I noticed that too. Okay, ready for brakes?
Yeah.
Brakes
stops
are good.
on a dime.
Yeah, brakes are good.
Wow.
And straight. Okay,
Yeah.
that I'm happy with. So steering is perfect, transmission is perfect, clutch is perfect.
The exhaust system seems good. There's no rattles.
Exhaust system is very good. The suspension is pretty good.
Yeah.
Engine still needs tuning. So this is definitely a shakedown run instead of a final assembly.
Oh, yeah.
We've literally touched every mechanical nut and bolt on this entire vehicle.
Oh, tell me about it.
Nothing's fallen off so far. Well, there's our first drama. This is why you take these things on shakedowns. I was doing a U-turn here in the middle of the road. All of a sudden, I lost power steering. Pooh! White smoke everywhere. Yep. And my pressure hose on my power steering pump blew apart. I guess we'll just have to hope that it's all pumped out of there and I'll drive without any power steering assist. Okay, so now I have no power steering, and because of the serpentine drive, running that power steering pump with no fluid in it is gonna kill it.
Oh yeah, it's a lit fuse at this point. So far we've had minor problems.
Yeah.
A few glitches.
But that's why you got to shake these things down. I mean, it's not going to be perfect the first time. We're creating problems so we can knock them down.
Yeah.
We went for our normal test drive around Steve's, and pretty quickly, the power steering hose completely blew apart. And it was like then 2 weeks between then and now, and stuff has changed. We took it to the chassis dyno out at West Tech, and it made 490 pound-feet to the tires and 412 horsepower.
Anything over 400 horsepower is big in a street car.
And we found out that the coil, the brand new coil, was junk. So
Trash.
we changed that to an MSD. And then I dropped this thing off at Lucky Costa's place and had it lowered an inch. Unfortunately, I think it needs to come down another inch, but at least it doesn't sit like a truck anymore. But you ready to go sit in LA traffic?
Well, here's where I find out whether you're a genius or a complete chump.
Oh, I'm a genius, of course. Why?
Well, I got to see how this thing works in traffic, because that's the whole objective of why you built this car the way you did.
100%. So here we go with the maiden voyage of the Disgustang in LA traffic.
Let's hit the road, buddy. Wow, this thing is just made for the open road. Look at the way it cruises with that overdrive.
So far, so good.
I don't know why I'm nervous.
No way.
It's like if you have a brake failure, I'm going right through that windshield.
See, look, this is the scenario.
Yeah.
Chugging in LA traffic. This is where this car is worthless if it overheats or if it's too loud or if it, chugs.
Yeah.
It's way too annoying. Think anyone will notice that we're driving a 69 Mustang in traffic?
Oh, no.
It's LA, no one cares.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing is still not even at 160 degrees.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You got a really good drive package on the accessories, and that fan and radiator are huge.
Yep.
Finally, a little open road, and it's twisty.
Out of traffic and onto Mulholland.
Yeah, now this is kind of a legendary road in SoCal. Guys used to come up here and do all kinds of crazy stuff back in the day.
Yeah, and I figure the Disgustang's not really meant for road racing, but I needed to be able to confidently handle any day-to-day terrain.
Wow, it sticks, man.
It's pretty good. I'm getting more and more confident with the Mustang.
Yeah, me too. Even from this seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Disgustang passes every test so far.
Yeah, it did the urban drive,
Yep.
it did the mountain road, and the highway cruise.
It hasn't done the burnout yet.
Oh no, we still haven't validated burnout capability.
Oh yeah, man. I gotta tell you, I am feeling pretty good.
Oh yeah, me too. I was expecting this thing to be pretty good. I'd have to say it's almost great.
What?
Yeah.
Dulcich never calls anything great.
Man,
That's next level, dude.
it does everything so well. All you have to do is finish this thing up a little bit.
And it could be great.
Yeah.
But even at this level, I have to tell you, this is legitimately like a surreal moment for me because I spent so many days dreaming of this and spending money wrenching on it with you, picturing it. And the day it came, it's actually registered, insured, and we're out here running and driving it. It's like, all of a sudden it's here and it's real.
Yeah.
And it's everything that I hoped it would be. This thing, it's assembled better than just for testing purposes. It does need a few things. I mean, the suspension a little bit. I'm not that happy with that control arm. Love to have your help rolling the wheel lips.
Yeah.
Lucky's gonna put AC, interior, all this stuff. But right now, it is way better than Roadkill good enough. You know what's been missing though?
Burnout.
See? That's why we hired him. Ready for this?
Let's do it, man. How's the temperature?
150. You know, it still smells like rat urine in here.
Really?
I think there's a nest under the dash I haven't found yet or something. It still just stinks of pee.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fibers of probably hazardous insulation. I keep
Well, it's
getting
probably
puffs.
a rat nest.
Oh,
Yeah. Probably the rat nest is disintegrating and coming out. You're inhaling it.
I'm probably eating it, sticking to my ice cream.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.